comes toward the top of the stretch, and they're into the stretch, and here we go. Songbird sent down. Beholder is alongside.
The 7-year wait is over. American Pharoah, it's finally the one. American Pharoah has won.
He's just perfect, and now he's just immortal.
Here's the wire, desperately close. Tis now wins it for America.
Hello and welcome to the Capital OTB Weekend Stakes Preview for the weekend of April 13th. Sully Crowdy and Mike Callahan. Mike, how you doing?
What's going on, Sully? Hard to believe we're finally in the last week of Derby preps here. What an unbelievable Derby trail it's been so far. And we finally got a little bit of separation last week with some of the favorites getting the job done. Vacoma looking so good in the Bluegrass. Also, you were down and actually got a chance to see live in person Tacitus, who was... I thought it was a really sharp performance. I think he's a serious contender, very versatile and very athletic.
Yes.
You know, able to get, he was banged around early, was able to kind of regroup down the backstretch, was able to rate, and then fought off a gutsy tax coming down the lane. Yeah. So I think he was able to separate himself. Interested to see as we go through the stakes preview this weekend to see if a couple more, you know, you have Improbable, you have Omaha Beach, you have Long Range Toddy, all who are coming off of very good performances, see if they're able to separate themselves from the pack as well. Also another horse that we're going to talk about in Lexington, another Twist of Fate, who I mentioned last weekend. I think this horse has enormous potential, so we'll be talking about that horse in a bit.
Yeah, and we're going to look at 5 stakes races as we always do, and this is the last weekend, as Mike talked about, of the Kentucky Derby prep. So after this weekend, we'll know who will be in the starting gate the first Saturday in May. But we're going to take a look at 3 races at Keeneland and then the 2 big ones at Oaklawn. The first race we'll look at is race 7 Saturday afternoon at Keeneland. This is the Ben Alai Grade 3 event. They're going a mile and an eighth on the main track. Then we'll move to the 9th race at Keeneland. This is the Lexington Kentucky Derby points on the line, a Grade 3 event for 3-year-olds. They're going a mile and a 16th. And then we'll look at the Jenny Wiley. This is a mile and a 16th turf race, Grade 1 event for fillies and mares 4 and up. And then the 2 big ones at Oaklawn. Race number 9 is the Oaklawn Handicap, Grade 2 event for 4-year-olds and up. They're going a mile and an eighth. And then the last race we'll look at is the highlight Saturday afternoon at Oaklawn, race 11, the Arkansas Derby, $1 million on the line, Kentucky Derby points on the line. This is for 3-year-olds, and they're going a mile and an eighth.
All right, let's go back and kick it off, though, with that Ben Alai, the Grade 3 stakes that Sully was touching upon. It's going to be Keeneland's race number 7 on Saturday. There are the morning line odds in the field of 11 that's going to race on Saturday afternoon. The morning line favorite is going to be Flame Away, 3-1. Lukewarm, but coming off of a very nice performance, winning a stakes race down at Tampa in fine fashion. Going some pretty fast clip as well, getting a nice buyer. I think is a huge player in this race, albeit I'm going to try to beat him. What were your thoughts on Flame Away? Also Salamini, who's the 6 at 7-2. Another one that's going to take a lot of money for Bob Baffert and Brian Hernandez Jr., who's going to get aboard first time. What were your thoughts on those 2 being the favorite in here? Did you go with one of them?
Yeah, I went with Flame Away. I've been a huge Flame Away fan throughout his entire career, and I'm just going to pull up the replay here of his last time out in the stakes race at Tampa Bay. And as you said, really quick fractions for Flame Away. As you can see here, he's the number 1 horse at 3-2, and looks like he's done here. You could see him pumping a little bit, asking for a little bit more. Was Jose Ortiz, but he had a really game performance there and just really didn't give up on the race and eventually was able to win this race by half a length. Now, there is some other speed in here, which is concerning, but Flame Away is a horse that I necessarily don't think needs to be on the lead. I think Noble Commander eventually does get to the lead, and then Bourbon Resolution and Flame Away will be sitting off the pace, but a horse that, if you remember the Jim Dandy, had to lead the entire way, looked like the horse completely dead, fought back to finish second to tenfold. So the Smarty Jones I kind of threw an X through, but I thought the last 2 performances were really nice by Flame Away. So I think 3-1 offers a lot of value. And as you said, with Salamini in the mix, I think Salamini is going to take a lot of this money, and I'm not going to use Salamini in my top 4. But the second spot, I went with Nonetheless. I like the 10 at 5-1. And this is a horse that has closing speed as well. A lot of these horses come back to Keeneland and run huge numbers. We've seen it in the early stages of this spring meet. And this is a horse that's 1-for-1 over the Keeneland surface, but has not been there in quite some time. The distance obviously is not a question mark either. This horse is 1-for-1. I actually think these longer races is perfect for Nonetheless. And we saw that in a stakes race last time out at Turfway. Now, going back to the fast track from the synthetic, I don't know if that's going to be an issue. The Razorback, I thought the horse against Cold Front and Copper Bullet, Radar Superstar, was in a little bit of a tough spot. But entering that race, leaving Turfway to go back to Oaklawn, ran a really credible closing speed race. Same with Churchill Downs, lost to a really nice horse there. So I like the 5-1 price. And then the 8 horse in the third spot is Bonus Points. Another closing speed horse for Todd Pletcher, Johnny V. Obviously, those two win a lot of races together, but I thought the closing speed we saw from 2 starts back at Laurel was a really nice performance. 5-1 is an attractive price for the Pletcher and Velasquez runner.
It's funny you mentioned that race because we're going to bring it up right now as he's going to be my top choice, Bonus Points. And we are going to take a look at that 2-back race where you touched upon being very impressive. They went quick fractions that day, and he is a stone cold closer, as you mentioned, is actually going to be the number 10 horse, kind of weaving his way through, is actually going to be kind of cluttered up there in the mess, just in the back. And he's finally going to be able to get outside, and then he's going to fight the 9, who right there is splitting horses. At this point, it's really a dogfight down the stretch because they did go quick early. The leaders are sort of faltering, and here come the closers. And this was a really good grind, and you're going to see this horse get straightened out a couple times. But when he finally gets his feet under him, is he really able to excel, get the job done, got a 95 bar. And when you're comparing it to the favorites in here, that is very comparable. You got Todd Pletcher, who's been absolutely on fire at Keeneland. He's 3 for 6. And a couple of those blemishes were second-place performances. So Todd Pletcher's horse has been running really well. 5-1 to me is a very attractive price. I think it's going to hold. I think you're going to see around 9-2, 4-1 potentially, as there's going to be some money on Salamini and Flame Away. But I am going to go with Bonus Points on top. Underneath the 4, Flame Away absolutely scares me. But you did bring up something that kind of led me in the direction of Bonus Point. There is other speed in here. So while Flame Away should be on the lead, Noble Commander to me is going to be the X factor in the race, and he has to break well for me to feel confident in Bonus Points being able to close into some swift fractions. Noble Commander is going to be one that's going to go for the lead as well with Flame Away. I'm hoping softens up Flame Away just enough to be able to get Bonus Points home in here. But if Flame Away is able to get away with some really easy fractions, you could see a repeat of that performance last time at Tampa Bay. And it's going to be an attractive price, too, because I do agree with Sully as far as Salamini potentially going off as a favorite in here just based on the connections alone. Phil D'Amato having this horse, and then also Bob Baffert previously having the horse, and then Bob Baffert being the one to train this horse. So for me, it's one of those situations where the pace is going to be the X factor in here, but I will go with Bonus Points on top, the 4 underneath, and hence the 5 horse. To me, is just a money eater based on the last 5, but if the pace is as quick as I think it potentially could be, he's going to be one that's coming late, and he just always seems to run when you don't expect him to run well. And 8-1 to me, too nice of a price for me anyway to not include in my mix. So for me, I went 8, 4, 5, and 6. Your thoughts again?
4, 10, 8, and 3.
All right, we will take a look at race number 9 on Saturday. It's going to be the highlight. It's going to be another Derby points race in here, and it's really going to come down to a couple of horses that needed to get some points in here, including the number 4 in here, which is going to be my top choice, another Twist of Fate, as you do see the morning line odds come up in here. I talked about another Twist of Fate last weekend. I thought he's a huge player off that Sunland Derby, which we will see here in a second. I thought it was a terrific performance. He'd been running so well at Golden Gate on the synthetic, and the one knock on him was, could he run well on the dirt? Now, he's actually going to lose a little ground to the 5, Cutting Humor, who's the eventual winner in this race. But when he was able to angle out, now look at those fractions, 22-3, 45-3, 109 and change. He's really going to be able to still come with a nice closing kick in here. He's a horse that can rate well, and he's going to come with a strong finish. Ultimately, does miss by a nose, but he showed good energy down the stretch, and they came home in a quick time. I think he has a ton of ability in here. The only reason they're running in this spot is because of last weekend's Big 3 preps, he actually sort of plummeted down the line as far as being Derby points. He's just on the outside in number 22. So they do need to run in this spot. His workout since that Sunland Derby was very attractive. 46-4, nice bullet work going 4 furlongs at Sunland. For me, I know they don't want to empty the tank because they do have to run in 3 weeks in the Derby. That's their plan anyway, if they can get the job done and get some points in here to be able to get back into that top 20. But I still think he's the best horse in here, so I'm going to use him on top. Zendin is also another horse that I know you like. He showed some really honest fractions last time. It was only beaten 3 lengths to Tacitus came back and won the Wood Memorial. Win-win-win, finished second in the Bluegrass. So he's another one that scares me in here. Sueño is a horse I have in the third spot. Those are my top three. Did you agree with me? Did you go a different direction?
I went a little bit of a different direction here. I agree. Another Twist of Fate's going to be tough to beat in here. I'm taking a shot against the horse there. I like Shang, the number 1. Shang's coming in for Steve Asmussen, and this is a horse that the last 3 starts has done absolutely nothing wrong. 3 for 3, 4 for 5 lifetimes, running the money every single time. But a horse that's won 2 stakes races and finally took a lot of money at the Fairgrounds going a mile and a 16th. Fairgrounds is a tough place to go wire to wire, sit right off the pace by half a length and win, especially in those route races. But the time was very slow. I don't think they're going to run a 49-1, but Keeneland's a tough place to win from off the pace as well. So I'm going to see if I can get a little sneaky with April13, who's obviously been riding fantastic this year, and at the Keeneland meet has not done bad at all. See if I can get sneaky with the Asmussen runner from the rail, break well, sit on the leader right off the pace. And the 10-1 price really is attractive for this runner. Harvey Wallbanger is a horse that last time out completely
you
throwing out.
have to love him off the $60
exactly.
horse that you had a couple of races ago. You have to love him.
After the Holy Bull in the Florida Derby, I'm willing to give a pass to that horse. I wasn't thrilled with anyone in the Florida Derby, but a really nice bullet workout on March 23rd entering that race, and this is a closing speed horse running that type of workout, a 1 out of a 100 at Gulfstream. So I'm willing to give this horse another shot for Ken McPeak, and then another Twist of Fate. Your top choice clearly is going to be tough to beat in here. A horse that usually never sits off the pace like last time out, but that was impressive as well. So now Javier, who's been riding unbelievable down at Keeneland, 54% winning percentage entering the week. Another Twist of Fate doesn't necessarily need to get to the lead, which is, I think, a positive for Javier and Blaine Wright. So 2-1. Very deserving price, but I didn't know what to do with Nick's Go in this spot. I usually love betting horses that's won at Keeneland, but I think that was a little bit of a fluke. I think most people
his last 3 races have been absolutely dreadful. So
I ended up putting Zendon in my mix. So I mean, it's gonna be tough to be another Twist of Fate off the pace that that horse wants to sit. I think that might.
Well, you brought up a good point, and a question to you and a question that a lot of people are going to ask when they see this on paper is, who do you think's going to the lead, and who do you think's going to rate in this spot? Because Zendon's going to go, and Nick Snow's going to go. You also have Hawaiian Noises, who's stretching out from 6.5 and is going to go 2 turns for the first time. That's the number 2 horse that you're seeing on the screen right now. He's stretching out from 6.5 to a mile 16th, first time 2 turns. He's going. You also have Shang, your top choice, who I think is not going to be too far off. Yeah. And then you also have my top choice, another Twist of Fate, who was able to rate last time, and I think that's the big key that you brought up. He's a horse that predominantly wants to lead, but he was able to rate and still come home very strong. I see it as Zendon getting to the lead with Hawaiian Noises. I see another Twist of Fate just in that second line just behind, tracking those 2 and hopefully getting the jump on a couple others. But there's a lot of pace in here, and it could set up for someone coming off, right?
Yeah, it absolutely can. So, that's why I had to play Harvey Wallbanger in my mix. That closing speed in the Holy Bull was fantastic. And as you said, last time out in the Sunland Derby. So with another Twist of Fate with that nice closing kick from a stalking roll. So, Royland's interesting as well with the closing speed. I ultimately left out. I was a big fan of Royland in the Risen Star, who finished a nice third at 70-1. So, there's a lot of key horses in here. I think Nick's Go is a key horse, and Hawaiian Noises. I think Irad does not need the lead with Shang. So it's an interesting deep field in here.
Yeah, I had the 10 just outside. I had him on the 4th. If you're a super player, if you're a tri player, definitely use Rolian. If the pace is as quick as we see it happening, Rolian's going to be one, and he always surprises you getting in the money at big odds. He was able to win a 1 other than allowance down at Churchill at 28-1, 2 back. The Sully race was talking about in the Risen Star, finished a solid third at 70-1. That triple came back almost $600, and that was with the top 2 chalks. Yeah. Running 1-2 in there. So Rolian's one, if there's a pace meltdown, I think I don't think he has a chance to win this race. I think he could absolutely hit the money at an enormous price and get sort of a piece of this, as you would say, in this spot. So for me, I saw it 4, 9, 3, 10. Your thoughts one more time?
1, 5, 4, and 9.
All right, we will take a look at race number 10 at Keeneland on Saturday. It's going to be the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley. It's going to be a field of 8 in here, and there's going to be two really big Chad Brown names in the barn, and Rushing Falls, who's coming off of a really nice win to round out the 2018 campaign in the QE2 at Keeneland. Horse that's 3 for 3 over the course at Keeneland, so as a horse for the course. 6 for 7 lifetime. The only blemish was at Churchill Downs back in the Grade 3 Edgewood back in May, where the horse finished second, only beating a neck to Toinette, who came and was able to run him down. You remember that race vividly. Yeah. Daddy is a Legend and Rushing Falls pretty much dueled each other for pretty much, it seemed, the entire race. There's really nothing wrong to say about Rushing Falls. She's absolutely the deserved favorite at 6 to 5. I actually think it's going to go off much lower than that, somewhere around 4 to 5, 3 to 5 when all is said and done. Really no knocks on here. Rimska is scary. Both of them coming out of the Chad Brown barn. Those are the two horses to fear in here. Could you go any other way than those two? And if so, what were your thoughts on the other horses that are in this race?
Yeah, I did split the two Chad Browns with the other Chad Brown, the 8, on the moon again. So I think it's going to be really tough to beat Rushing Fall, and she's a deserving 6 to 5. Obviously, we're most likely not going to see that 6 to 5. She's going to be a single on most pick 5 tickets. People are going to go deep in the Lexington because it's such a nice race there. So she's deserving favorite. We haven't seen her since the QE2, but that was a really nice performance. And again, you get Javier in there. But the one thing is she's never had to run on the lead with with quicker fractions on the turf. Her last couple starts were a 49-1, a 50-1, and a 48. At Del Mar, she ran in the Breeders' Cup and won from off the pace, but those were quicker fractions. So my one fear with her is, because there is some other speed in here, is if the pace is fast and she's on the lead running a 47, will she be able to hang on? And I actually believe she will. On the Moon again, it's a nice closing speed horse. In case that pace does fall down, I'm going to use On the Moon again with Johnny B. The other Chad, one of the 3 Chad Brown runners, ran well against Rimska last time out, and Hawksmoor, a horse that I really like using, but was a little bit wide at Tampa Bay Downs. And then Rimska in the 3rd spot. Again, won that race against Hawksmoor. Lost to Valedictorian as the favorite. Valedictorian came back and ran a huge race the next time out at Gulfstream. And she's just faced some really nice horses and has beat some nice horses, including Compelled and Coasted. So and this is a horse that is raced against New Money Honey, has been in the Breeders' Cup a couple times. So Rimska is the real deal as well. But Chad obviously has a really nice hand in this Jenny Wiley. So I have his top 3 on top. And then Julian Laprue, the other closing speed, the 6 underneath.
Yeah, I saw this race a little bit different than you, not in selection-wise, but just the way that the pace is going to develop. Now, you say Rushing Falls, last time inherited a soft pace. I just don't see anybody in here that wants to go and be forwardly placed besides maybe Got Stormy and possibly the one Phantom Opening. I think Rushing Falls drawing the 2-hole is just going to go straight to the lead. Everybody else wants to rate because you talked about the 8, who's a stone cold closer. Rimska is a horse that wants nothing to do with being forwardly placed. She likes to be covered up and come with one big explosion. And then you also have Belavas, who's a horse that I have in my mix as well, is another one that likes to sit about mid-pack and do her damage late. So for me, I think Rushing Falls is just going to inherit an easy lead. I know that they're not going to try to give her an easy lead in here, but there's just no one that's quick enough to be able to go with Rushing Falls. And then also the fear factor that every other jockey's going to have is, if I'm the first one to push her button, am I going to be the one to be backing up? And then you set it up for some others in here. So while you see you're going to have Chad Brown with the 2, the 4, and the 8, they're not going to go at each other early because Chad's going to want to finish 1, 2, 3, hopefully when it's all said and done. So I think Rushing Falls, just based on the pace alone, to me anyway, it looks to be a little bit soft. Should get the job done going wire to wire, and the fact that she loves Keeneland is only an added bonus. Underneath, Rimska, who's coming off that win in the Grade 2 race down at Tampa Bay. I thought it was a solid performance. A little confusing 2 starts back at Gulfstream where she wasn't able to get the job done at 20 cents to the dollar. So I have my reservations on Rimska. Well, I think she's super talented. I'm not sure if she shows up each and every day, but I do think she's best in this field to finish second. And then in the 3rd spot, Belavas, the 8-1. I think she's a little bit of a value play in here. Finished 3rd last time out in the Grade 3 Honey Fox down at Gulfstream going a mile. She does need some pace in here, and that's where I think it's a little bit of a negative factor in here based on I think it's going to be a soft pace. But she does have talent. 2 of the last 4, she's been able to get the job done with some buyers that are very comparable to the tops among here. So I have her in the 3rd spot. And then the 8, who you have in your mix as well, On the Moon again. I wasn't really sure. I know she came over with some really high hopes, but she still hasn't been able to get the job done, albeit she's faced some really good competition. And you also have to take a look at her competition over in Europe. She faced Rhododendron, Hydrangea. She also faced Lady Frankel, and she also faced Sister Charlie before Sister Charlie came over here. So I think there's a lot of good competition that she's faced, and I still think the best is yet to come from On the Moon again. Hopefully we'll see it on Saturday. So for me, I saw it 2, 4, 6, and 8. Your thoughts one more time?
2, 8, 4, and 6.
All right, we are going to go to our break. When we come back, we will switch and look at Oakland on their enormous Saturday, including the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. So stay tuned.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
Capital OTB Stakes Preview. Mike Callahan, Sully Crotty. We are halfway through the show. We are going to flip now from Keeneland and take a look at Oakland on a very, very good card on Saturday, with the highlight being the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. We're going to take a look at 2 stakes, and we're going to take a look at the first one being the Oakland Handicap, a Grade 2 event. It's going to be race number 9 on Saturday. They're going to go a mile and an eighth. $750,000 purse, and there's the field as you see it right now. 9-horse field, with the favorite being Lukewarm and Giant Expectations at 3-1. Horse that last time was the beaten favorite in a stakes race down at Oakland, the Essex Handicap, where the horse finished third, only beaten 3/4 of a length to our top choice on the stakes preview. Pat on the back for having that 3160 horse. That's what he paid that day at a little under 14-1, I believe. But Giant Expectations is a good horse, has a massive class edge on this field, but I've always been confused with Giant Expectations. I'm going to take another stand against Giant Expectations. Is that the same way you saw it?
Yeah, I'm taking a stand against Giant Expectations, just like last time out and earlier in February in San Pasquale. So I went with the number 8, Lone Sailor, and I'm going to pull up the replay of the New Orleans Handicap. And here's the horse that eventually runs third by a length, but it's the number 2. Loses to Core Beliefs, loses to Silver Dust, but as you can see, the horse just has a little bit of trouble running straight. Looks like this horse is going to finish 4th at best, but somehow very deep stretch. This horse has another gear and runs a pretty credible race. So I like Flavien Prat aboard on this horse. I like Tom Amos as well, and as you can see, this horse is still scrubbing a little bit, and then finally looks like it could kick a little bit and run straight. And finishes an okay third behind 2 really nice horses in Silver Dust and Core Beliefs. So I'm going to give this horse a shot. I like the closing speed. Flavien will have this horse in a nice spot as well. And then I thought, even though the sixth place finish by 4 1/4 in the mine shaft does not look great on paper, I thought that was a little bit more of a credible race because Flameway was in that race, Silver Dust was in that race. We just saw Silver Dust finish 2nd in that replay. So I'm going to use Lone Sailor on top. Rated R Superstar in the 2nd spot. I like the closing speed in this race. This is a horse for course angle, strictly for me. Looked great the last couple of starts. And those optional claiming races obviously did not go as planned, but ran third at 80-1 and then won last time out at 15-1. So I'm going to use the 2 closing speed horses from the outside stall in the top 2 for me. Giant Expectations third, clearly the class of this field, deserving 3-1 favorite, but it really hasn't impressed me up to last time out. The 3 races entering for that horse to be the favorite at even money, I had to ultimately take a pass when I saw that. Was not impressed in the San Pasquale. Was not impressed in the Breeders' Cup, but that is the Breeders' Cup. Lost to City of Light that day, and then lost to Seeking a Soul in the ACAC. So Giant Expectations for me, I'm going to try to beat. I'm going to use in my tickets, but I'm going to be interested to see where Joel Rosario wants to place this horse, and then I have Tenfold in the 3rd spot. Another horse that should be towards the front here, setting the pace just a little bit, should be a little bit more improved. 2nd off that Travers 7th place finish, finished 4th last time out in an optional claiming field at the Fairgrounds. So this is a nice Oakland handicap here. I'm going to go with the outside closing speed. I have 8, 9, 6, and 1.
I saw it 2, 6, 1, and 9, and I'm going to go with a little bit of a long shot in here. I wasn't thrilled when I looked at each and every horse. I really couldn't fall in love with anybody. And if you can't do that, you might as well go with a long shot in here. So Pioneer Spirit is a horse at 10-1 who's going to inherit Luis Saez. Brad Cox, who's been unbelievable down at Oaklawn so far, 23%. This horse is coming off of a victory, albeit is against Allowance Company. Did get an 89 buyer, but if you dig a little bit deeper, this horse has 200-plus buyers, and you can only find that with Giant Expectations, who's going to be your favorite at post time. So while I think Pioneer Spirit is coming off of a good race, I wouldn't say a great race, I think he's eligible to improve. And again, you going back to that Aqueduct race back in early January of 2018, got a 106 buyer, was able to go wire to wire that day in some very quick fractions. So I think Pioneer Spirit at 10-1 offers really good value. I couldn't fall in love with anybody else in this field. So for me, I thought the price was there, and I might as well use a horse in here that I think is coming in off of a good effort, has some good conditioning, and also the workouts have been very strong at Oaklawn, has a win over the track, so there's a lot to like in the number 2. Use him on top. Underneath the 6, Giant Expectations. Just based on the class alone, this horse is always there each and every time. Buyers-wise, fits really well in here, has the top buyer of anybody in here, but consistently as a favorite isn't able to get the job done. Go 4 or 5 back. Horse is getting a lot of money on, going off at favorite, finishes 3rd, finishes 4th. Last time out, took a bunch of money, went off at $1.60 in there and finished 3rd, beaten 3/4 of a length. So while I respect Giant Expectations, I do not fear the horse. So that's why I'm going to use him underneath. Solid contender in here. And then the 110-fold. I know you mentioned the horse. To round out your selections, a horse that's going to go with blinkers on for the first time for Steve Asmussen, which is a good stat for him, 17%, second off of a long layoff, came back in March 5th in a one other than allowance race, finished 4th, only beaten 3/4 of a length. I thought that was a good performance because he was not seen since August. So he's coming off of almost an 8-month layoff, got a 92 buyer. I think this horse can only improve, and Steve Asmussen's stats show you that. 24% with second off the layoff. So at 7-2, I think he's going to be a big factor in here. Should be forwardly placed. So again, my thoughts: 2, 6, 1, and 9. Your thoughts again?
8, 9, 6, and 1.
All right, we will take a look at the big one at Oaklawn on Saturday. It's going to be the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. This is going to be the final big prep. Besides the Lexington, which we already talked about, this is one that's really going to solidify everybody's thoughts going into the Derby. In the next couple weeks, we can talk about it as we do have the first Saturday in May coming up here. We're going to see the field here in a second with the morning line favorite being number 1, Improbable, at 8-5, coming off that second place performance in the division number 1 of the Rebel, that Grade 2 event. Against Long Range Toddy, who's going to be the 11 in here at 5-1. We're going to see that replay here in a second because I actually like the horse that finished 3rd in that race, which is going to be Galilean. Now, Galilean is going to be the 8 in here. You're going to see Improbable making the move on the outside. Looks to be clear, and at this point, it looks like how many is he going to win by? But you're going to see Long Range Toddy angle out the number 2 horse. You're going to see Galilean really stay on and really did all the dirty work in this race. I think the top 3 ran creditable races. I think Improbable was just a little bit short. Again, he was coming off that layoff. All the talkings of him being a little bit short because of everything that was happening at Santa Anita. Bob Baffert talking about how it was a tricky trail for getting him some workouts and getting him to the races. So while I thought all 3 ran really good races, I think Improbable is going to be bet down too short. I think Long Range Toddy last time was his time to get him at 8-1, and I think Galilean is an improving horse off that 3rd place performance. Again, really did all the dirty work to be forwardly placed that day. They went honest enough fractions. You take a look at those races at Santa Anita, 2-3 back. They were very, very good. I think buyers-wise can only improve. The workouts have been solid, and 10-1 to me is excellent value in here for Jerry Hollendorfer. So I'm going to use the 7 on top. The 1 I'm going to use underneath. The 3, which is Omaha Beach, who's coming off a very impressive performance against Game Winner, I'm going to use in the 3rd spot. What were your thoughts in here? Could you go past the favorites, or ultimately did you have to settle on them?
I did go with Omaha Beach on top, but I agree. Galilean is a horse that faced that type of field after just facing state breds in those stakes. I thought it was a really nice effort. I have the horse 4th, but at 10-1, and for Jerry Hollendorfer and West Point, I think offers a ton of value. So again, that's a nice pick there, and as you can only get better from that Rebel from last time out. I went with Omaha Beach on top. Hopefully Improbable takes all the money. If Omaha Beach stays at 2-1, or if we get lucky and get 5-2, I think that is a really nice gift, and it was just such a game effort last time out to be game winner. Heading into that race, those races were very, very impressive, going 1 mile and 7 furlongs at Santa Anita. But since that race, the horse went back to California and has been working lights out. Bullet after bullet after bullet. 2 of them at Santa Anita, 1 of them at Los Al. So I'm going to go with Omaha Beach on top. Long Range Toddy had a perfect trip last time, as you said. I like the closing speed from the outside stall. A little bit of a horse for course angle here. Runs well over the Oak Lawn surface and has closed well throughout the career on the Oak Lawn surface for Steve Asmussen. And then the 1 is Improbable. I'm going to try to beat the horse here again. And, I'm hoping this horse takes a lot of money. You do get Jose Ortiz in town to ride. Drayden Van Dyke rode the horse fine, I thought, throughout the career. But a horse that, again, in the Los Al fraternity, I said it last time in the Rebel, I was not impressed with that race. I was never a big fan of Mucho Gusto. And then off the layup, the horse lost by a neck. But as you said, it looked like the horse was going to win by a lot more, or just win the race, period, instead of losing by a neck in that last replay. So I had to use the horse third, and then your top choice, Galilean, as you said, can only improve off that effort, 10-1. Really nice price for Hollendorfer and Flavien Prat. Taking the blinkers off, I think, will help. Didn't have blinkers on first time out in the restricted stakes, was able to win that race as well. So this is a really nice field, especially if you want to beat the favorites. Hopefully Improbable is the favorite. I think it's pretty beatable in this spot, but we'll see. Omaha Beach 2-1. Nothing really to celebrate about price-wise.
Yeah, I think the one big thing you mentioned was the blinkers on for Improbable. It was really at that point, it looked like he was just going to win by as many as he wanted to, and he sort of just idled and looked like he got disinterested when he got to the lead. I think the blinkers going on is a smart move by Bob, because he's pretty much just saying, I'm going to try to take away the focusing issues, see if we can target a horse and pass him and get the job done in here, because he absolutely has talent. We know that. It just comes down to, is he going to be sharp enough? Is he going to be able to focus enough to get the job done? And are you going to want the price of 6-5, 7-5 with those questions? That ultimately is going to be your biggest question coming on Saturday. And how do you see the pace developing in here? You have Galilean, who wants to be forwardly placed. Great Attempt is a horse that we have to touch upon, who's just been speedy time and time again and is 4 for 6. He's going to be one that wants to be forwardly placed. The 9, One Flew South, wants the lead. Omaha Beach is going to want the lead, and Improbable is not going to be too far off. How do you see the pace developing?
Yeah, as you said, I think Great Attempt goes to the lead. I think One Flew South at 50-1 is just literally going to play Catch Me If You Can. And then Omaha Beach necessarily does not need the lead, but I think the other Asmussen run in here, Think of Him Flew, is going to try to get to the lead as well. Just didn't break well in the Gotham, or did not get to the lead for some reason, but a horse that usually likes to get to the lead, and a horse that only lost to Hakel by 2 lengths a couple starts back. So a speedy horse at 30-1 for Steve Asmussen. So I ultimately think that's going to set up for the other Asmussen runner, but again, I think the big prices are going to be on the lead and ultimately set it up for some of the shorter prices.
All right, my thoughts again, 7, 1, 3, and 8. Your thoughts?
3, 11, 1, and 7.
All right, that's going to do us for the stakes preview for this weekend. Before we leave you, any more thoughts going into this? Your biggest race or biggest horse you're kind of keying on going into Saturday?
Yeah, man, it's
not to put you on the spot.
The Derby Trail has just been crazy. But I think if you can get Flame Away at 3-1, that's a really nice price for that horse. But the cards are just fantastic. Even the undercard at Oaklawn, there's some nice races. The Oaklawn Sprint is a really nice race, and we just didn't have a chance to talk about it this week. So for me, I do think Flame Away is a nice price, and I do think you're going to get some prices on that card at Keeneland. That's why I'm taking a little bit of a shot in the Lexington.
Yeah, for me, it's an opposing view from Sully, but I think Another Twist of Fate is going to show his ability. I've been talking about him for the last couple weeks. I hope he backs me up and runs a huge race in the Lexington. For me, I'm going to single around him in the multis, single him vertically as well. So see if he's able to get the job done in the Lexington. And again, it'll be interesting to see if Omaha Beach is the goods, and also Improbable with the blinkers on for the first time, see if he's able to do it. But a lot of questions that are going to be answered on Saturday. It'll be fun to talk about it, as we do have our Derby seminars coming up as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun here in the upcoming weeks. So again, for Sully Crowdy, Mike Callahan, until we see you again, take care.